reflecting the architecture of 45. And what is that architecture? To the victor belong the spoils. Those are the guys who won the Second World War. They came and sat on the high table. The world of 2010 is different. Is it going to change? Well, I'd like to try, but I can't give you an answer. Something is happening. There is now unrest. The European Union brought a resolution. It's very interesting. They wanted the EU representatives to speak. Because, the EU has a Treaty of Lisbon, so it has a integration. They have a common foreign security, integration factor. They lost their own resolution on a procedural vote. Can you beat this? 27 countries put a resolution which seemed to be reasonable. Do they have clout? I'd like to find out. Please, this clout, world is changing very quickly. The guys who will survive here are people who don't make exaggerated claims and don't come and tell the world, I think this is how you should be running it. You make prescriptions on, how others should run their governments. It's not a recipe for clout.
If I can add, do not underestimate the importance of 187 votes for India. It's a magnificent result. And I'm speaking as a person who has fought many elections and has studied them. And you spoke about the United States. The United States, about 10 years ago, fought an election in which they had 123 written commitments, written letters from countries that they were going to be voting for the US. In the actual vote, voting is secret. In the actual vote, India got 62 votes.
The United States.
United States, 62 votes. And so the American ambassador came to me and said, more countries have lied to us than which is factually correct. So, elections are very dicey business. They are very, very difficult. And then the Americans wanted me to advise them how to win that election in the next year. And I said, you cannot win. There's no way you can win it except by getting a clean slate. And so in the next year, the Americans, there were 3 countries for 2 seats. And the Americans managed to get New Zealand to step down and withdraw. And therefore, then there were 2 countries for 2 states.
And that's the of the UNDP.
And that's the only way they could win the election. So clout is measured by respect on the floor, not by the size of your guns and aircraft and bombs.
On the floor of the General Assembly, believe me, having a large military arsenal is not. You can have a military arsenal, people say, very nice, I like those tanks and fighters. But when it comes to votes, people are there going to judge you by something completely different. Yeah. The EU vote is very instructive, Abhay, because one of the EU ambassadors says, we give so much development cooperation. I said, my friend, that is your problem. You talk about it. If you tell a guy, I give you so much development assistance, then you insist that he votes for you, that the effect is gone. Let the other guy feel that he owes you something.
Although technically we don't have time for one more question, we will take one more question from the front row.
Thank you for taking my question.
Sorry.
Ambassador Puri, first of all, thank you for doing this. We appreciate it. Congratulations on the vote yesterday. My name is Francisco D'Souza. I'm actually not a student. I'm chief executive of an outsourcing company, and Ambassador Kamal, we're not responsible for keeping you awake at night during your nap. My question is, you touched on outsourcing, Ambassador. I felt compelled to ask the question. We've heard rhetoric in the past. We've heard threats of protectionism in the past. In the current election season in the United States, for the first time, we've actually seen some significant action. The Congress recently passed a border protection bill where essentially they tax firms like mine to pay for the Mexican security of the Mexican border. Do you think that this is fundamentally going to impact the relationship between the world's largest democracy on the one side and the United States on the other side at a bilateral level?
First of all, can I, at a personal level, say something, and I hope you will not take it amiss. I just come back from Tokyo. My wife and I came back in 1978, and your parents were living in the External Affairs hostel, and I clearly remember, Eric Gonzalez and Rose Gonzalez and your mother were great friends. How old were you at that stage?
I was probably 8 or 10 years old.
Yeah, okay. Now, exactly, I placed you right. But first of all, congratulations for, I mean, you're a good Indian middle class product. Your father was in the foreign service. You came out, you set up a company, etc. Why? Because I think the United States is a land of opportunity. It's a place where people can come, the Hispanics, other parts, Caribbean, India, Pakistan, and they come and they make a great success of it. Will it create problems between the world's largest industrial democracy and the world's largest democracy, India? Well, I hope not, and I don't think so. Anand Sharma, our Commerce and Industry Minister, has already been talking in Washington. What is the issue? Issue here is you want to build a fence along the US-Mexican border so that people don't cross there, and you want to finance it through the Indian IT company. You want my views? I'll be very blunt on that. But why they did it? But let me ask you a question. Why are you guys paying those additional fees? Because you still make money here, right?
But it puts us at a competitive disadvantage.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so that is the point to make then. It's not a problem. Look, they're testing. This is the what I call the inner dynamic of protectionism. You want to do something which suits you, you test how much, see how much. If they do a little more, maybe you'll scream, some of you will pull out. But it's not mature economic management. Because what happens is that after a while, people say, the Europeans were doing this at one stage. First, they tried to entice Indian IT companies to come there. And then, when they started, getting tough and etc., the Indians decided one day, all right, enough is enough, we're moving out. I hope wiser counsels prevail. And I hope it's a small issue. The issues between India and US are very big, People ask me the other day, again, it's not my fault. It's my, Meera in Washington or my consul general here can talk about it. But I think India-US relations are far too big and too comprehensive to allow one issue to, to be anything other than. But certainly, I mean, as a purist on trade policy, I would say, why do this? You treat all the other IT companies together. Is it true that this is only impacting on the Indian IT companies?
Only
Largely, no, but not only.
Only Indian IT company. Only Indian.
Well, I think that's.
in Pakistan.
Sorry?
Make yourself a Pakistani company.
The way the law is written is actually it's the companies that are dependent on visas. So that really.
Pakistani companies would also be involved if they are there. Yeah, they would also be involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there are ways of getting around that. Why do you need the visa? Today you can do real-time teleconferencing, other thing. I think the way we are handling it is through quiet discussion with the Americans is the better way than to get up and start name-calling. Do you agree with that?
No, I think so. I think
I
there's
think
a lot of dialogue. But
Yeah. It will
it's
result.
candidly unfortunate that it came to this point because I think that it happened without much dialogue.
No, it happened suddenly.
Yes.
If there had been dialogue, I don't think a decision like this would have gotten taken. Yeah.
Before we leave, I need to point out that these events do not organize themselves. We have to thank staff in the Office of Global Learning, Joanne Murphy and Mahesh Nair, also staff in the Campus Provost Office, Michelle Vaccaro, and two of our wonderful student assistants, student interns, Brian Choi and Nana Barry. Most of all, please join me in thanking and expressing gratitude to Ambassador Kamal and Ambassador Puri. There are evaluation forms floating around. I hope you will fill one out.